Navin Chandrapal's contribution hailed as hundreds turn out to say goodbye to PPP stalwart presidential advisor. Government commits to make Guyana CFATF compliant. Over $110 million in education grant distributed in Linden. And Amerindian leaders issue resolution condemning opposition for hampering their development. With this GINA News Capsule, I'm Janelle Carter. Good evening. Family, friends, and government and political party representatives on Sunday turned out at the GINA International Convention Center to pay their respects to the late presidential advisor and PPP stalwart Navin Chandrapal. Leading the tribute was Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports, Dr. Frank Anthony.
Navin, in his short stay, was able to condense many passions into a single lifetime. He had many designations and important roles, all of which he served with distinction.
President Donald Ramotar described the time of his late advisor and confidant as being a product of the period in which he was born into, when Guyana was going through great changes and was pregnant with hope.
Particularly after the 1968 elections, which were the first massively rigged elections in our country, the fight to restore democracy to Guyana. And this is when the Navin's generation came to maturity and became part of the PPP.
Government says it is committed to working with all stakeholders to make the country ready and to avoid blacklisting. This is Guyana's position, according to Attorney General Anil Nandalal, who recently represented Guyana at the Paris meeting of the Financial Action Task Force, where Guyana's financial status was examined. After putting forward Guyana's case and its political peculiarities, the decision was taken to grant an extension to Guyana for the government to get itself in compliance with the regulations of the international financial body. The Caribbean Development Bank, the Caribbean Bankers Association, and many other international and regional bodies have called on Guyana to pass the outstanding bill in the interests of trade in the region. On Saturday last, the four-day National Tushaus Council meeting ended with over 200 Amerindian leaders endorsing a resolution that condemned the combined opposition cutting their developmental budget. The indigenous leaders also in their resolution expressed support for the government's reinstatement of the funds cut by the opposition. The resolution also calls on the Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment to stop granting concessions and prospecting and mining permits within Amerindian titled lands, and for the government to honor its obligation by implementing the Amerindian Land Titling Program in a cohesive manner and treat same as a priority public interest. Over $110 million was distributed on Friday to parents under the Because We Care program in Linden, Region 10. Approximately 11,000 school-aged children in the public school system in that region have benefited from the Ministry of Education's grant. The exercise was carried out simultaneously at 12 locations. Minister of Education Priya Malik-Chan, who addressed hundreds of parents at the Bayrock Community Center ground, reminded parents that the way to rise out of poverty is for them to prioritize and give their children the life they never had. Tourism Awareness Month 2014 has been launched with the aim of raising awareness of the country's tourism potential, as the government continues to promote tourism as a sector that has potential for significant economic growth. This year's theme is Tourism, Entrepreneur and Ambassadors Mobilized. Speaking at the Amerindian Village Sophia Exhibition Complex on October 31st, Minister of Tourism Irfan Ali stressed the need for Guyanese to be reminded of the importance of the sector in Guyana's future. The need for infrastructure and an environment which meets international standards to attract tourists was highlighted, while the private sector was urged to become members of the Tourism and Hospitality Association of Guyana. Thank you for watching this GINA News Capsule. Do join us again. I'm Janelle Carter. Good night.